opportunities without trying to look for it specifically in this video or other videos, then check out my gold guide, where I expose all of the gold making secrets for Wrath of Lich King. You can also use the code SWALHEIM for 50% off, and once you buy the guide you will receive all of the future updates for free, and I will keep updating the guide throughout Wrath to keep it up to date. And I think that is pretty much it for dual crafting, at least for now. Let me know what you think is the next profession guide should be about, and at the very least I hope this video showed you a little bit about how to make gold with dual crafting, as that was the whole goal of the video. It is a gold making guide after all. If you enjoyed the video, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe for more Wrath videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again very soon.
There's a lot to cover when it comes to dual crafting because it just has so much scope for different things to do. If you pair it with mining, or you've got a miner, you can go around and get stacks of ore and prospect it to try and get rare gems, to then cut those gems and put them on the auction house. You can simply buy stacks of ore off of the auction house and hope that your prospects are really good. You get a daily that you can do each day, which is obviously worthwhile doing because you get a Dalaran Dual Crafter's token, which you then spend on recipes. And there's even a dual crafting specific item, which is the damaged necklace, which drops, which will start a quest to reward you with further Dalaran Dual Crafter tokens by simply repairing the necklace with a certain gem that it asks you to bring. Just want to say a quick thank you to all you guys that have joined the channel as a member in the scrolling banner below. More on how you can support the channel at the end of the video. When it comes to personal bonuses, you can use 3 of your super rare epic gems. I'm sure I could have worded that better. You get really big bonus gems, so 68 attack power, you can have 34 strength, where ordinarily your gems will only be 16 strength at this point of the game, you know, right at the beginning of Wrath of the Lich King. The same goes for the other primary stats, such as 34 intellect, 34 agility, but there is really a gem for everything. So parry, MP5, expertise, 34 hit, you get it, haste, absolutely any gem you want. And this is why, much like the blacksmithing video that I put out, it's really customizable, and at certain parts of the game you won't simply just be stacking a primary stat or wanting lots of attack power. As a melee character, or even a hunter, a marksman hunter, trying to go for the hard armor pen cap, you'll find yourself gemming armor pen. So being able to get more armor pen from these gems is huge. The only one slight downside is obviously the gems start really strong and they stay strong the whole way through, but you could say they lose a tiny bit of power when the epic gems get released, which everyone's got access to because they go from giving say 16 strength or 16 agility to giving 20 strength or 20 agility. You're still getting 14 of a primary stat more even when the epic gems come out, but it was just worth mentioning. As if that was enough, when you start getting plenty of your dual crafting tokens and you've got all the tokens you need, you can make blue 187i level rings, which are relatively cheap to actually make, and you'll make some good gold. There's some very good epic rings and necks, particularly for tanks, but there is also even some armor pen gear like on necks and rings that's quite hard to come by early on, so if somebody wants to start going for armor pen that early, which I wouldn't recommend, you can at least sell them some rings and necks, as well as a bunch of other tanking rings, casting necks, casting rings. But you can see you can do so much more than just make gems. You won't be able to do it at the beginning, but eventually you'll also be able to prospect titanium ore. So titanium ore is used for titanium bars, titan steel bars even, which, you know, titanium's going to be a commodity that everyone's going to want. But I would recommend as a dual crafter getting it quite early and potentially sitting on a lot of it, because when Trial of the Crusader, well, it was 3.2, but basically we're going to say when TOC comes out, so it'll probably be phase 3, you'll be able to start prospecting titanium. So it's also worth noting that with the introduction of the epic gems in 3.2, when blacksmithing would then get 2 additional sockets, being able to put the 2 epic gems in, this then made the other professions slightly weaker. So all professions in 3.2 add the values increase from the personal benefit that you get. So for example, before 3.2, the attack power Dragon's Eye gem was only 54 attack power instead of the 68 that it is now. I'm assuming all professions will be in their 3.3.5 state, but it was just worth mentioning. And the reason it's important is because not only are you going to get epic gems, which we'll look at those in a minute, but you get titanium powder that comes out of them, which is about a 75% chance on prospect to get one. And when you hand 10 in, you can get extra dual crafting tokens. And the reason it's important is because when we look at this guy here, you start to be able to, floating gnome up there called camera, a bit weird, you start to be able to get epic gems, but obviously you're going to need lots of tokens to be able to get them as soon as possible. So having lots of titanium stacked up to be able to prospect as soon as you can, to then hand in all the powder for tokens to be able to buy the big epic gems, is going to be a good thing. The same applies for getting as many damaged necklaces as you can, because they don't drop that frequently, and I think they're going to probably hold their price throughout the whole of Wrath of the Lich King. But getting hold of them and keeping as many of these Dalaran jewel crafting tokens as you can for when you can start getting the epic gems is only going to be beneficial for you and for your bank. So making sure that you do your daily every day is really important. In area in either Howling Ford or Borean Tundra, it doesn't matter as Horde or Alliance which zone you go to, the jewel crafting trainer there will give you a quest called Gem Perfection, where you need to bring 2 huge citrin, 2 dark jade and 2 shadow crystals. This will then give you the Gem Perfection skill and a small velvet bag which will contain a couple of perfect gems. Perfect gems are only a couple of stats lower than if you was to craft a rare gem, so a blue gem. So for the small investment, it's obviously definitely worth doing. It's much like TBC with the brilliant glass cooldown. You've got a 20-hour cooldown in the form of Icy Prism. Icy Prism starts only containing some rare gems, and there is a 10% chance of getting a Dragon's Eye, which obviously you use to make your big gems for yourself, your personal gems. So come 3.2 when Trial of the Crusader launches, you'll also have a chance of getting epic gems out of the Icy Prism. It does require a Frozen Orb, which comes from the last boss in a heroic dungeon, and it also requires a few of the green gems. Interestingly, in 3.3.3, it was an undocumented change, but they did reduce the amount of gems needed. It was 9 gems in total, so 3 blue gems, 3 green gems, and 3 purple gems. That was then reduced down to just 1 of each. So again, in the light of going into 3.3.5 patch state, I would guess that it's only going to be 1 of each with a Frozen Orb. That's where you can get gems. Also, patterns, like you see the patterns that you can get from the vendor, that's not an exhaustive list of the patterns that you can get. If you wanted to get the Armor Pen gem, for example, they come from the Valkyries and Storm Peak, so there will be some world farming required. And lots of the patterns actually come from dungeons as well, so it's not as easy as just doing your daily every day on and alt. You do need to actually do some PvE content. But what classes would be a jewel crafter? Quite honestly, any. Like literally, jewel crafting, blacksmithing as a combo together is really strong. Jewel crafting engineering, really strong. Blacksmithing engineering, really strong. Like I mentioned in the blacksmithing video, blacksmithing starts good because you've still got 2 extra sockets. So a blacksmith gets a socket in their braces and a socket in their gloves. But at the beginning, where you've only got the blue gems, you're only getting 16 of each. So you're getting 32, 32 strength or 32 agility, whatever. But you still have got that customizability to be able to put in, let's say, hit gems if you were just under the hit cap, or if you needed some defense gems as a tank. So it's still, even though you're getting slightly less stats than maybe from enchanting your rings, for example, early on, but then when the epic gems come out, blacksmithing gets even stronger because you're now getting big gems that you can put into those sockets. I hope that makes sense. And jewel crafting's similar, but it goes the opposite way. So the gems are amazing, don't get me wrong. They stay like the best profession bonus, individual bonus that you can get from start to finish, especially because you're not just limited to attack power or spell power. You can put absolutely whatever you want in these sockets. But as you can imagine, you've got the most powerful gems available. When the epic gems come out, you could argue that the dual crafting only gems lose a little bit of work, which is absolutely true, but they don't lose enough to worry about. You could go from phase 1 to the final phase, or to Cataclysm, or till Blizzard burn down their office, or whatever happens as a dual crafter, and absolutely be perfect as any class that you play. And you got to remember, everybody's always going to be wanting gems. So if you're looking on the auction house before you buy a new pattern at ones that other people haven't got a lot of, you can see 1 or 2 people selling, I don't know, spell power spirit gems, for example, and you're like, well, actually, I'll get that one. Because, the market's not flooded with agility and strength, which it's going to be at the start, or even intellect. So you can be a bit clever and make a good amount of gold from it as well. Outside of that, I don't really think there's that much to talk about. You're still making gems, ultimately. You can make good necks, good rings, and you get 3 really, really powerful gems to be able to put in your gear wherever you want. So if you went blacksmithing dual crafting, you can put 2 of these really powerful gems in your extra sockets that you wouldn't ordinarily have. I know that was a bit of a short one, but I don't feel like there's that much to talk about. There's no point looking at every single daily.
Hello everyone, today I'll show you some different raw gold farming spots that you can do in the Wrath of the Lich King pre-patch. This will be useful for those of you that don't want to spend time going to the auction house to post the different things that you farm, but also for the upcoming fresh servers where it might be difficult to sell your items. To make this farm as efficient as possible, you either need to be a tank or a class with a lot of AoE damage. In Netherstorm, there's an area with a lot of links. These you can easily stack together and probably pull around 5 to 7 at the same time. The main reason for why I like to kill these is because they have a high chance to drop 2 different grey items and these windows for a decent amount. On top of this, if you do this farm, make sure to have skinny, because this will overall increase the gold that you make per hour. But for those of you that don't have skinning, there's a way better spot for you to do in Netherstorm. At this location, you can easily pull 5 to 10 at the same time, and the good thing about killing these is that they always drop raw silver, but also have a high chance to drop cloth. You will most likely need to be a class with a tank specialization to make this as efficient as possible. Also because if you're far away, they will start to throw rocks at you. So if you're for example a mage, you will take heavy damage when you try to do Blizzard. The main reason for why I like this farm is because it's so crowded with these monsters. So if you run in a circle, they will simply have respawned by the time that you get back to your starting point. So you never have to wait for respawns at this location. In Nagrand, there are so many different locations where you find wormholes. These also drop raw silver and a lot of cloth. One way to stack them together fairly easy is simply just to mount up and run into one of the buildings. This will line of sight any of the range attacks and make it easier for you to stack them together. The downside of this farm is definitely the wormhole shamans. These will once in a while try to heal themselves, but also the other targets. So you need to prioritize killing the shamans first, else you'll not be able to pull this many targets at the same time. If you feel comfortable with your character, but you're also capable of killing more targets at the same time, then I have 4 different spots that you